Good morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Calvin Butenhoff coming to you from our studio in sunny downtown Waukesha. Wherever you are, you can always join us. Call or text at 855-752-4842. Leave a comment on the live stream if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, and or what used to be Twitter. We have a lot of stuff coming up on the show today. Dan Schaefer will be here from the award-winning, they just won more awards from the Milwaukee Press Club.
I know. This is like their whole, they win so many awards.
They do. Award-winning Recombobulation Area joins us every Friday at 10:33. Lots of things to kick around there. Next hour, this broke earlier this week, and we haven't had a chance to talk about it. Sometimes that happens with the news cycle when there are so many things that are breaking and happening. But it's related to the former president and his appeal to the gas companies and oil companies. And I think these are some important details that people need to be made aware of. So we are going to talk about that after the 11 o'clock news. And then we're going to lighten things up for the last half hour of the show. Sunday is Mother's Day.
Yes, it is.
So if you start thinking about it now, you can always text in your responses now. But we just want to hear your favorite mom story.
Yeah.
It can be sweet. It can be funny. We just want to celebrate mom.
It can even be a little bit sad if you're missing mom this Sunday.
Absolutely. So that will come up at 11:33.
Or grandmas, too. Let's
Grandmas
open it
too.
up to grandmas.
You bet.
Yeah.
So be thinking about it. And again, if you want to text it in now or you want to wait until 11:33, 855-752-4842. And you can send it to Jane Says at civicmedia.us if you ever want to get in touch with us directly. And I wanted to thank Andrew from Maine, who reminded me about the honor flights.
Yes.
That it's a wonderful, wonderful program. It really is. And he was the one who said, hey, don't forget about the honor flight. And I was like, that is a really good reminder. So I reached out to them, and we're going to be talking to one of their folks, Karen Relke from Honor Flight, in a couple of weeks.
That's great.
Yeah, before Memorial Day. So they have one coming up a little later this month, and then they have one in June also.
One of the barbershop I used to work at, the original owner, Jose, he was a Korean war vet, and he did it, and it was amazing. And it's just tears for days of joy and support and love. And that's when patriotism takes on like a new form. It can be a very divisive word, but
yes.
Like patriotism, when you see these vets get on the flight and so excited, they get met in DC. It's just, okay. Yeah. I'll probably cry during that interview. So that's fine.
I got to go along on one a number of years ago. Yeah. And it was, like you said, you get emotional, you're happy, you're sad, you cry. The welcome they get at airports.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That's something folks should be a part of because it's incredible.
And it's all in a day.
Yeah. It's one day. It's a long day for some of those guys too.
Yeah, so.
It really is. But anyway, that's coming up in a couple of weeks. So thank you, Andrew, for that suggestion. Send your suggestions if you have a topic or a guest you'd like to have us on. Join. God, words.
Friday
what
words.
What is it with my mouth?
Friday words.
Not working. We'll have them on the show. Send an email.
You were so excited about today's show.
I know.
You cannot wait to get the words out of your mouth. And those words are the best words.
Thank you.
Because you have the biggest brain
of all. Jane Says at civicmedia.us. We do have some breaking news I wanted to start with real quickly. Steve Bannon.
Great.
One step closer to jail after refusing to comply with a House subpoena during the January 6th investigation. The former White House chief strategist was convicted for refusing a congressional subpoena to testify. So this has been unanimously upheld by a 3-judge panel of the D.C. Court of Appeals. Something I saw earlier this morning said one of the judges was appointed by Obama, one by Biden, and one by Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So his 4-month jail sentence was put on hold while they were waiting for this ruling. Now, this isn't the end of it. He's not going to jail today.
Yeah.
He can still appeal.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I understand, and I'm sure Jim Santel will probably talk about this tomorrow morning.
We're going to need
an amicus brief.
Yeah.
I think he can also still take it to the Supreme Court.
Could you imagine that? To me, if they were like, yeah, we'll take up that case, that's when I know there's no going back with the Supreme Court. All 9 of them, get rid of them. Just start over. Term limits of 10 years. I don't want them to have to run, but whatever. I'm over the Supreme Court.
I think a lot of people are over the Supreme Court.
And all of them too.
Yeah. Well, I'm not feeling particularly warm towards the Democrats who were on that panel when they were talking, when there was talk about having an ethics committee and some rules that
Yeah.
these justices have to follow. And the Democrats didn't want to do that either.
Yeah. That's what
Because it's a good gig, apparently.
oh yeah, lifetime appointment. You never get fired. You have to be
You get free trips.
no one has been incompetent enough to get thrown off the court in my lifetime, at least. I mean, I'm sure there's someone listening right now. Well, Greg, in 1843, Rutherford P. Bamford. I don't know. I just made the name
I
up.
like that.
But yeah, yeah. So, all right. Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry.
So I just wanted to start off with that. So because that is breaking as we come on the air. We talked about this. I think it was earlier this week, Greg, when we talked about this ad that's Super PAC supporting Eric Hovde. They had to pull it
Mm-hmm.
because it was incorrect. Daily Costs has an article. Wisconsin TV stations pulled an ad by a GOP Super PAC, which, by the way, the Restoration PAC is largely funded by Dick Eline.
Hometown favorite, boy done good.
In this Super PAC, they falsely accused Senator Tammy Baldwin of voting to cut Medicare. And then attorneys pointed out that no such vote had ever taken place. Whoops. Now, we always wonder why there's no ramifications. Where does the buck end?
Yes.
At least as far as accountability goes with things like this. And I did not realize this. Third-party groups are the ones who can be held accountable. It's not the politicians. It's not the PACs.
Yeah.
It's the TV stations.
Interesting.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Restoration PAC was vulnerable to the Democrats' request to pull the ad because TV stations can be held liable for publishing defamatory statements by third-party groups, one of the very few ways in which there can be accountability for lying in the public arena.
Let's be clear here. I don't care that you said something that's wrong. I don't care that it's full of lies and it's casting dispersions upon this person, but I don't want to get in trouble, so I can't do it.
Candidates have a lot more leeway, again, according to the Daily Costs under federal law, and we have an announcement about this.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes.
Broadcasters cannot refuse to air ads from candidates' campaigns as long as they're paid for. Consequently, stations can't be sued for defamatory ads from candidates because you have to run them.
Yeah.
But they face no such obligation when it comes to an outside group, so a PAC or a super PAC. Stations have to be a lot more careful. They could find themselves hauled into court over false third-party advertisements. Ultimately, Restoration PAC, funded largely by Dick Eline, replaced it with a different version. They said that she voted to cut Medicare. She didn't do that.
No, she would never do that.
She wouldn't do that. He argued that Baldwin used Medicare money for electric vehicle subsidies instead of going to seniors. The PAC claimed it made the swap before Democratic groups complained. According to the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, a spokesperson for Senator Tammy Baldwin says the new ad is just as false as the last one.
And that's the thing, too, is like, what is the line that goes from misinformation to just a little bit of a lie?
It's a lot of lie.
I mean, well, but my point is that if the new one is just as false as the first one, how can the second one be aired at all?
Apparently it was a little less
Yeah,
blatant,
exactly.
blatant lying.
I know, that's what I want. I want someone to show me that line, like, that's what I want, because
How far is far enough?
when an ad claims that Tammy Baldwin cuts Medicare, even Republicans are like, no, she didn't. That's not her at all. She would never do that.
Well, but it's kind of like, let's throw it out there and see what sticks.
Exactly.
And see how long we can get away with it.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
In this case, that you got away with it for like 12 seconds.
Yeah, that didn't last very long.
Yeah.
Again, at least I guess there's some accountability because we always ask about but we always ask about this. It's like, okay, who gets punished?
Yeah.
It is interesting though that it's on the TV station.
Yeah.
It's not on the PAC producing the lie.
No, so that means that the TV station, which, has tons of time as it is between like trying to stay afloat, run ads, run TV, like, trying to be successful, they also have to do deep research.
Right? To make sure they don't get sued for running someone else's fake ad. Speaking of ads.
You know what ads should really check into their facts? I think you're, yeah.
The one that we got.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a in case you haven't heard it,
Hmm.
completely real and totally legitimate attack ad that is running against Tammy Baldwin. Kind of surprised. It's only on our show. I don't
I
know how that
know.
happens, but
Very small budget.
very teeny budget. Calvin, let's play that completely real and totally legitimate vicious attack ad, please.
Wisconsin's two U.S. senators couldn't be more different. Democrat Tammy Baldwin keeps getting things done for her constituents. She helped secure funding for infrastructure projects like the Blatnick Bridge and made sure Wisconsin seniors can afford life-saving insulin. But Republican Senator Ron Johnson knows exactly what needs to happen to make your life better.
I think we'd be far better off if we never passed another piece of legislation.
This November, elect the wealthy California guy who sits in frozen lakes. Just like Senator Johnson, he'll work hard when he gets to Washington, just not for you. Paid for by the We Got Nothing Else Super PAC. Also, Senator Baldwin has no idea who we are and does not endorse this message.
We are working on getting a SoundCloud.
So
Hopefully next week.
Next week, Civic Media has a SoundCloud page, and we're going to be getting those ads loaded up. And as soon as they are, we will let you know. And keep it there for like new ads that might be dropping. Who knows?
Well, I heard a rumor.
There's a rumor.
There might be a new, completely real, totally legitimate attack ad coming in the next couple of weeks.
That's weird. I was called and asked if I have any problem meeting like people in trench coats with fedoras and sunglasses
and suitcases
in parking lots at midnight.
That sounds completely legitimate. Ron Johnson kind of did something like that when he took that envelope that contained the fake electors, but he didn't know what was in there, and he had absolutely no problem with delivering it. We're just emulating him.
I mean, thank you. It might be Ron Johnson who gives it to me. Oh my God, a celebrity.
Stay with us. 855-752-4842 and join us. You're listening to Matenaer On Air on the Civic Media Radio Network. Waiting to take your calls at 855-752-4842, 855-75-CIVIC, or leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and or Twitter. Just want to remind you at 11:33, Mother's Day is Sunday. So we're going to be talking your favorite mom memories.
Mhm.
And it can be sweet, it can be sad, it can be funny. I have one in particular. My mother was great. She didn't mean for it to be funny, but it was hilarious.
It's hard to come up with mom memories when you're on the spot there too. It's like,
start thinking about it now.
Yeah. Yep,
start thinking about it now. And if you want, you can start texting them in if you can't stick around until 11:33. But favorite mom memories in honor of all moms.
Yep.
Because Sunday is Mother's Day, so you still have time to get a gift. We were talking about voting by mail with Deborah Cronmiller from the League of Women Voters Wisconsin a couple of days ago, and then a caller had mentioned his concern about voting absentee ballot and mailing it in and it not getting there in time.
Yes.
And so this brought up Postmaster General Louis DeJoy and how he is handling the post office because he's been in that position for quite a while now.
Mm-hmm.
As we also learned, President Biden cannot remove him.
Correct.
There's a board.
Yes.
And they are the ones who make that determination, correct?
Because the post office is actually, if I'm not mistaken, and I've been told this, the post office is not a governmental body. It's not a part of the government. It works directly with the government. It's actually run privately. And they have a board of governors who decides who the postmaster general is going to be. I'm sure they probably take suggestions, recommendations.
But
maybe,
the ultimate authority
maybe
is
not
theirs.
In this case. But,
yeah, right.
But yeah, so yeah, the President Biden has nothing to do with the gas prices, your grocery prices, or the postmaster general.
Just so you know. So Democratic Representative Mark Pocan showed up on my Twitter feed yesterday, and apparently Mr. DeJoy came before a committee, and he got a little cranky about it.
Ooh, I like it when cranky people get cranky.
Calvin, let's play that clip from Mark Pocan, please.
I wanted to give you a quick update on a meeting we had yesterday with Postmaster Louis DeJoy in my subcommittee hearing on the Appropriations Committee. First of all, it was a little bit odd. Almost every hearing we have is a public hearing so that people can watch it on TV and you can be informed about what was discussed. Postmaster General apparently didn't want to have a public meeting. And after the meeting, I completely understand why. I didn't think it was possible, but Louis DeJoy figured out how to bring Democrats and Republicans completely together. I read through complaints that we've had in my district about mail not being delivered. And then I listened to people in Georgia and people in Nevada and people in Iowa and Democrats and Republicans all talk about problems they have, mainly due to management decisions by the Postmaster General. DeJoy was very combative. All he could say is that his job is to save money. The good news is afterwards, I was fist bumping with Republicans and we were talking about trying to do a joint bipartisan letter because we were not satisfied with the responses that we got. Maybe in this dysfunctional Congress, there's that little bit of hope that we could have in trying to do something bipartisan. If you are a Postal Board of Governor and listening, fire up. But for everyone else, I just wanted to give you a quick update.
Representative Mark Pocan on Twitter yesterday talking about a little meeting that a House committee had with Postmaster General Louis DeJoy, and he was a little crappy.
More like Louis DeCranky.
No kidding.
Also, Mark Pocan, if you're listening right now, come on our show. We love you. He's a deadhead, too. Did you know that?
I did not know
He was a
deadhead.
deadhead.
Very cool. And he's been concerned about this for quite a while. There's an opinion piece in the Cap Times from February of this year, and the headline says, Pocan fights to get the mail delivered.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's an important reminder, there are people in rural areas who really depend on the mail for prescriptions and other things like that. And I don't understand the financing of the Postal Service and why it's such a mess, because it really is, to me, a very convoluted mess. And I know that we want to do it as efficiently as possible, but cutting everything just to save money and then watching this service disappear or become inefficient
or private or like seriously privatized. Yeah.
And this should be concerning, like Mark Pocan said, this should be concerning for both sides of the aisle, because as we've talked about, Republicans now are all about voting early and banking your vote. Get it done, except for the former president. But, like the rest of the party's fine. So they have a vested interest in this too.
Well, and I remember in 2020, in the springtime, but more so in the fall during the election time, real nervousness happening about the mail because Louis DeJoy was in charge and had a very meek, or bleak, I should say, a very bleak outlook on the Postal Service, and Trump was he was absolutely happy to make sure that these ballots were stopped and slowed And that was a cursory effort in 2020 because Joy was new.
Yep.
Everything was, 2020 seems so quaint now. But in 2024, he's been in office for a while. There will be shenanigans with the mail. And Republicans are like, oh, there's ballot dumps and ballots and blah. I don't think it's going to be the Democrats who are trying to mess with the mail now. And if Louis DeJoy can put his finger on the brake, he will.
But again, that's not going to help the Republicans. If
No.
they're trying to encourage their
No.
voters to vote early and bank your votes and absentee ballots and all that stuff, it's going to harm everyone. That doesn't hurt their cause.
Yes, but people don't. That's the problem. Is like it's the same argument as like, oh, the election was stolen. Then why did your other guys win? It makes no sense. They think that the Democrats are trying to ruin everything or sabotage everything. It's like, if we sabotage it for Republicans as far as voting goes, we're going to sabotage ourselves.
Yeah.
So it makes no sense to make the argument or throw the accusation out there. So between now and November, fire Louis DeJoy. That's what I say.
I think there would be a lot of people who would agree with you.
Yeah.
And you bring up a very good point just as far, and I've always said this too. If the election was stolen, then all of the elected officials who maintain that it was stolen and were elected on that ballot should have to resign. Right?
Yeah. Yes.
If the election was, it was just that one race, really?
Yeah, just that one race on
No,
that entire
no. If there was that much cheating and the election was stolen in 2020 and you were elected in that time cycle, you should resign.
Yes. Start over, at least really call it, we're calling this one a draw. We got to go back and try again.
Got to go. Exactly. All right. News is coming up next. When we return, Dan Schaefer will be here from the award-winning recombobulation area. And keep sending in your mom stories. Mother's Day is on Sunday. We're going to talk about your favorite mom memories coming up at 11:30. Keep it close right here. Matenaer On Air, coming to you across the Civic Media.
UN Charter with your own hands. Yes, that's what you're doing, shredding the UN Charter.
Good morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Calvin coming to you from our studio in downtown Waukesha. You can always join us at 855-752-4842. Leave a comment on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform that Elon actively continues to ruin. Before we have our guests join us, we want to do a little clarification. Right before we went to the news, we were talking about a very apparently cranky Postmaster General Louis DeJoy in a closed-door hearing about why the post office is getting worse. And we want to clarify something.
The United States Postal Service, the USPS, also known as the Post Office, U.S. Mail, or Postal Service, is an independent agency of the executive branch of the United States federal government, responsible for providing postal service in the United States, its insular areas, and the associated areas. So it is not a private organization, but is an independent organization, still in the executive branch. And I would like to blame Calvin for not stopping me for saying such stupid things.
Jeez, Calvin. I mean, by the way, if you ever have a complaint, you can always send it to our producer, Calvin. And what is Calvin's email address, Greg? It's kind of complicated.
It's calvin.djhappyslide@myspace/angelfire.gov.
And .org. Don't forget that.
Sorry,
and
.org.
All
My
right.
apologies.
He joins us every Friday at this time from 10:30 to 11 o'clock. You keep bringing home that hardware from the Milwaukee Press Club. Dan Schaefer is here from the recombobulation area. Good morning and congratulations again.
Good morning, Jane. Thanks so much.
Cannot hear
Appreciate
you.
it.
There you are. Okay.
You got me now? Am I coming
we
through
got
okay? Okay.
Yep,
Well,
yep.
yeah, but thank you and good morning. And take it easy on Calvin, Greg. I think this one's your fault.
Calvin cut his feed. Cut all their feeds.
Calvin is all powerful. He controls all the buttons. So
That's true.
Calvin pretty much rules our world.
That's why I'm playing to Calvin here. I don't care about Greg. Just trying to make sure Calvin's on my
Nobody
You
does.
got to stay on Calvin's good side.
I've won no award.
So you picked up 3 more, right?
Yes, we did. It was and it was exciting because it was not just me this year at the Recombobulation Era. I was able to bring a couple people along with us. Phil Rocco, Marquette University professor who wrote an amazing series on the shared revenue and local control bill last year. He won gold for his series for best explanatory series. Congratulations to Dr. Rocco there, and then also Angela Lang, the executive director of Black Leaders Organizing for Communities. She won silver for best single editorial for a piece she wrote about Black voters and Joe Biden. So very exciting stuff. I also won for best column, which award I've now won 4 times. So very exciting stuff.
Congratulations! Just a reminder: subscribe to the Recombobulation Area.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, you do wonderful work, and you do very detailed reporting on the state of politics in Wisconsin, and this is more important than ever. So
Yeah.
I would highly recommend you subscribe today.
No
You have a
argument
new
there.
you have a new post up today, Dan. State Senate Democrats have a candidate running in every race, aim for $20 million in funding. This hasn't happened ever.
Yeah. Well, we have new maps now in Wisconsin. You may have heard. You may have heard at the Recombobulation
Something
Area
about that.
twice about new maps, and we're starting to get a sense of what the landscape is going to be. And I was at a press event that the Wisconsin Democrats were holding in Milwaukee earlier this week. It was on their No More Games campaign, which was pressuring a number of members of the Joint Finance Committee. We can talk a little bit about that too, but the state Senate leader. Democratic leader Diane Hasselbein mentioned in that press conference that for the first time in more than 20 years, there is a Democrat running in every race in the Wisconsin State Senate. Pretty big deal. Now, the half of the state Senate is up every year. So this is 16 races. Not quite the lift that the assembly sees in trying to find candidates for 99 races. But I think this is a really significant thing for Democrats in the state Senate to be able to compete everywhere. In the 2022 election, there were 5 races of the 17 on the ballot that there were no Democrats running there, and I think now, even in some long shot districts, to have a candidate on the ballot to be able to build some support for the long term, I think this is a pretty big deal. And not only is it, do they have a candidate now running in every race, they're going to have some funding, unlike really ever before for these races too. So the Associated Press reported earlier this week that state Senate Democrats had reserved $7 million in television ads for 5 key races in the state Senate. And then I talked to one of the leaders with the state Senate Democratic Campaign Committee. They said they're aiming to spend $20 million to put the state Senate in range to be flipped in 2026. It's a long shot for this year just because of the makeup of, the only half being on the ballot. But it's currently, the current makeup of the state Senate is 22 Republicans to just 10 Democrats. After this election, if they win all 5 of those races that they're putting funding towards, could end up a much closer state Senate. Could be 18 to 15 instead of 22 to 10, which I think would have huge implications for how governing works in Madison in the state capitol. And so, obviously a lot of game left to be played in this next 6 months. But I think just to set the foundation to have, a quote unquote professional campaign running in all 16 races with these 5 being highlighted, I think this is a pretty big deal. And I think this is going to be, a really interesting step for Democrats in their quest to take back control of the state legislature after so many years not having that opportunity under gerrymandered maps.
Dan Schaefer is here from the Recombobulation Area. We are talking about the fact that Democrats will have a candidate running in every single Senate district this November. It hasn't happened in a long, long time. And I genuinely believe, Dan, that this is what most people in Wisconsin want. They want to see a fair fight. They want to see a little balance, because when I look at some of the Republican supermajorities in other states, like Tennessee, for example, or Missouri. We don't want that.
No.
I don't want that for either party. I don't want a Democratic supermajority either. I don't think that's good. I just don't.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing, that right now there's a supermajority in the state Senate, and the state Senate has it has the opportunity now with these Republican leaders to really obstruct a whole lot of different things and block a whole lot of different things. There's been a record number of cabinet appointments that the state Senate has effectively fired or voted down or whatever in so many different ways. And I think with slimmer margins where you don't have, right now, if they lose a couple Republican votes on something, that it doesn't really matter to the same degree. But if they, if you have to worry about every last vote, that matters. And I think part of talking about this in the context of the other campaign that WISDEMs are running, this No More Games campaign, that they are putting pressure on a number of Republican members of the Joint Finance Committee. We're hearing in the news just how obstructive they are in not taking action on PFAS and water contamination, not taking action on, healthcare facilities closing in Western Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I think they finally took action after a really long time and having to put pressure on them to take action on opioid addiction funding, settlement funding there. And so, there's Ben Wickler from the state party gave a speech there just talking about how long under Republican control, we haven't really had an opportunity to pressure some members of the Joint Finance Committee in this way because they were so insulated from public accountability because of the maps. And now, with new maps, with a number of these members of the Joint Finance Committee being vulnerable in some of these state Senate districts in particular, I think it makes sense to ratchet up the pressure. So I think two in particular that they mentioned at that press conference, Dewey Strobel, who is a Republican incumbent who's going to be running in the 8th Senate district. That's going to be a toss-up seat. They're pressuring him there. And then also Joan Ballweg, who is the current incumbent in the 14th district. She's actually moving to remain in the 14th district. That includes kind of areas north of Dane County, Baraboo, Wisconsin Dells, a number of areas there. That's going to be a toss-up seat. Actually, the New York Times featured one of the Democratic candidate there in a recent podcast episode, Sarah Kieski. I'd recommend you check that one out, episode of The Run-Up, which was terrific. So I think those are some of the candidates that they will be highlighting to pressure them to actually be accountable to voters for the first time in more than 12 years, which was not happened, of course, under gerrymandered maps.
How do you think it plays down when they move to a different district just so they can get reelected? At least from what I can tell, Lauren Bobo Boebert in Colorado, who's pretty much whoosh, we haven't heard from her. It feels like in weeks. She's tried that in Colorado, and that doesn't seem to be working out for her very well. But she also has a much broad. People are far more aware of her reputation, I think, than some of our elected officials.
Right. Not that they would be, wholly that different from Lauren Boebert in a lot of cases for a lot of Wisconsin state legislators. But I think there are a number of them who are moving to districts that are more favorable for Republicans. So, like, for example, the current Republican incumbent in the 30th state Senate district, Eric Wimberger, this is the Green Bay area district. That district is now going to be a Democratic advantage pickup seat. It leans about 6 points Democratic. He's moving to the 2nd district so he can run in a much more favorable seat, and that's got a double-digit Republican advantage there. So basically leaving an open seat, real pickup opportunity for Democrats there. So there's a lot of that going on. I think Ballweg's is a little bit different because she still represents a lot of what she was before and will still be in the same numbered district. But I think there are a lot of Republicans who are moving to more favorable seats. And, that's it's just the nature of the game there. They don't want to face the competition in some of these places.
Way to stand and fight for what you believe in, you guys. Well done. So impressed.
Well, and that actually brings up a point that I was thinking about today before we had you on the show, is that with these sitting elected officials moving house to different districts, also, how does the statewide GOP just feel about actually having to raise money now to put them into spots that are contentious, or maybe not even, because, when you come out and say we're spending big money to win, now the GOP has to raise money, which the GOP, being state versus nation, is different. Of course, it's not easy for them to raise money because, of course, you got Trump knocking on doors saying, give me some of that. I want some of that, especially if you use my name. So it's got to at least be causing bigger headaches than it ever has, because now they actually have to put the work into these districts. Even if they're long shots, they still have to secure them somehow. And I imagine they'll be trying to spread money all over the place.
Well, and don't go asking for money from the RNC, because they have different priorities.
Yeah. So it's something. I mean, I know the answer is probably bigger than we can give at the moment if we want to talk about it on the other side of the break. But it's just like they're probably quaking in their cowboy boots a little bit.
I did want to share this text that came in for you, Dan. Sue from the 414 is asking, who was it that was trashing his articles? I think she's talking about Derek Van Orden. Dan should send them a copy of all his recent awards. You should just put it on Twitter, Dan, and call it the Kick Rocks Awards.
That's right. I should
have one of them turn into a wrestling belt.
I ran a sale for that too. We got a lot of new subscribers from the Kick Rock special when we did that a few weeks ago. That was fun.
We're gonna keep recombobulating it with Dan Schaefer. Stay close. You're listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Recombobulate me. Won't somebody recombobulate me? Saw a sign said, welcome to Cleveland. Hoping for a relaxing weekend. Once I get strapped in the 210, wheels up and we'll be rocking. Getting out of frozen Wisconsin. I need you to recombobulate me. I want you to recombobulate me. I need you to recombobulate me. Won't somebody recombobulate me?
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never
Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Dr. Slide on the board. Good choice of music there, Calvin. Talking about winning, Dan Schaefer is here from the award-winning recombobulation area. He joins us every Friday at this time. Let's talk about Senator Tammy Baldwin and recent comments she made about what's going on in the atrocity that's going on in Gaza. That's what it is.
Yeah, I think we've seen the right really jump on these comments from Tammy Baldwin, but I think I have so much respect for what she had to say here. So there was a piece in Politico yesterday talking about how a number of vulnerable senators or senators projected to be in close races who were, kind of a little bit squishy on their comments on President Biden's plan to allow Palestinian refugees into the United States. Obviously, we know that Republicans are making immigration, a real wedge issue and really dialing up the xenophobia and anti-immigrant sentiment. And some Democrats were kind of, equivocating a little bit on what their comments were going to be, but not the case for Tammy Baldwin, which I have so much respect for. I'm going to read her statement to Politico here. She said, "The U.S. has a proud tradition of sheltering innocent civilians fleeing war and persecution while also ensuring American safety. Refugees are thoroughly vetted before they enter the United States to ensure they are not a threat to Americans." So I just have so much respect for Baldwin coming down on the right side of this issue. We should be welcoming refugees in the United States who are coming from horrible experiences like this, like what so many people are experiencing in Gaza, in Ukraine, in Afghanistan, and all over the world. And we need more people to come to Wisconsin, and I think we should welcome this opportunity to welcome Palestinian immigrant refugees here, if that's the case too. And I thought the response from Eric Hovde, from a number of Wisconsin Republicans, was just despicable. And I think I'm just my hat is off to Baldwin for taking the stand on the right side of this issue.
And I think it's important for folks to remember, and especially people who are very upset with what's happening between Israel and Hamas. And there's plenty of reasons to be very, very upset about that. But Trump has said that if he gets a second term, he's going to reinstitute a Muslim ban.
Right.
This is not going to be an administration that is going to deal with more compassion with the Palestinian people than the current administration, despite its flaws and despite what is happening. That's not going to happen under Donald Trump.
Yeah, and I think, and not only just Donald Trump, but up and down the ballot too. You seeing the response from candidates like Hovde, from a number of Republicans who are, just fear mongering about Palestinian refugees, and accepting people from war torn parts of the world is such an important part of America's history. And I think we stand on the right side of history when we stand up and do the right thing, even if it might not be the most politically easy thing to do. And I think, you look at comments from some other Democratic senators here, who were talking about different things: John Tester, Sherrod Brown, and really difficult races in Montana, in Ohio, in keeping a Democratic senator in states that Trump won. They have a difficult path for that. So they were talking about, wanting to, see if, refugees would go to some countries in the Arab world first, or focus on other things or whatever. And I just think it means a lot to see Baldwin not equivocate on this, and not and be on the right side of things, and say that we have a process here, and as long as people are going through the process, and they should be able to enter the United States and come here and build a life here, and enjoy the freedom and democracy that we have in this wonderful country.
It would really be a shame if John Tester gets tossed out of Montana. It really would. He's been there a long time. He has long roots there. He's a Montanan. He's a rancher. And the guy who's running against him has been caught lying about what it's like, that George Santos disease. It's like pink eye among politicians. It just spreads so easily.
Well, it's the George Santos stuff. There's also like the carpetbagger caucus among so many, Senate candidates in this cycle, whether it's Hovde, whether it's McCormick in Pennsylvania. So many of these candidates, have a lot of baggage going to them. But, I think we're going to, obviously the conflict in Gaza is not an issue that's going away. The immigration issue is not one that's going away. And I think, so many Democrats have in the past just tried to kind of be Republican light on this issue. And I saw, it talked about this in the polling, in the Marquette poll, how Republicans have really made, the border and immigration and like a top issue in this race, even if it's really not one among Democrats. But I think it's important for Democrats to have a message on this and not just be Republican light. And I think that path that Baldwin is carving out here is the right one.
Do you think they perceive Tammy Baldwin as being vulnerable?
Well, I think it's Wisconsin, right? It's
Right.
Wisconsin is a toss-up race. Every statewide race that we have here is going to be closely contested. So I think to whatever extent she's vulnerable, she was way ahead of Hovde in a poll, Quinnipiac poll earlier this week. She was ahead by double digits, and I think that's pretty significant. But at the same time, like Republicans know that if they win Wisconsin, they are going to take the Senate.
Yeah.
So, to whatever extent, they're probably going to be pouring more money into Montana, into Ohio, into some other, closely contested races, Arizona, around the country. But I think, they know that if they win in Wisconsin, that they are going to win the Senate. So they are going to throw everything they've got. And we know there's going to be some outside funding too. There was just a story, I don't know if it was late last week, early this week, that a Uline funded super PAC, what a surprise, already had to pull a misleading ad about Baldwin. So we know those types of attacks that we saw similarly on Mandela Barnes a couple of years ago are going to be ratcheted up in the campaign against Baldwin here too.
Subscribe to the Recombobulation Area. You can read why he receives so many Kick Rocks awards. Dan Schaefer joins us every Friday from 10:30 to 11. Thank you so much, Dan. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for having me.
Stay close. News is coming up next, and then we're going to talk. Let's make a deal with the oil and gas companies. It's going to be good. You're listening to Matenaer On Air, coming to you across the vast Civic Media Radio Network.
While I'm sipping on this gin, Al Davis said it best, just win, baby, win. All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they say yeah.
good morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Calvin Butenhoff coming to you from our studio in sunny downtown Waukesha. Join the show. Call or text at 855-752-4842. Leave a comment on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Just a reminder to download the free Civic Media app wherever you get your apps. And then you can listen to all of the shows across all of the stations. And that also gives you the ability to call and text directly, which is kind of nice.
I love that feature.
Right? That's a pretty spiffy feature. And a reminder, too, if you go to civicmedia.us
Yes.
and you're interested in getting some merch,
Yes.
we have merch.
We have merch.
We have T-shirts. We have a pretty nice looking hat. I'm waiting for mine.
I'm getting the 540 WAUK T-shirt because it reminds me.
This one?
Mine's gonna be red.
Oh,
I like it because it reminds me of like T-shirts from the Grand Ole Opry because I love the Grand Ole Opry.
all right.
But yeah,
Calvin, you're getting merch, aren't you? What did you choose? Was it a hat or a shirt?
I haven't made my decision yet. I'm probably going to go with a hat.
I think that's a wise choice.
the only shirted guy here.
I have a shirt on right now.
I didn't get one of those cool shirts.
I think they're on the website.
Fair point.
Civicmedia.us. Click on the shop tab if you want to pick up some Civic Media merch. That would be great. All right. We are going to, I didn't want this to get missed because this seems somewhat important.
Yeah.
Washington Post, just a couple of days ago, headline reads, what Trump promised oil CEOs as he asked them to steer $1 billion to his campaign. This is from Josh Dawsey and Maxine Joslow, again in the Washington Post. As Donald Trump sat with some of the country's top oil execs last month at Mar-a-Lago, one executive complained about how they have to deal with burdensome environmental regulations, despite they spent $400 million to lobby the Biden administration in the last year. Trump's response stunned several of the executives in the room, saying, "You are all wealthy enough. You should raise $1 billion to make sure I get back to the White House. And if you do that, I will immediately reverse dozens of the Biden administration's environmental rules and policies and stop new ones from being enacted." Trump said giving $1 billion is a deal because of all the taxes and regulation they wouldn't have to deal with, all thanks to him. Well, it's right. I mean, you finally just said it right out there.
He says it right out there all the time.
Well, that's true. But I do think this is worth looking at and making sure people are aware of this.
Tell me, Jane, I just have a simple question. I'm a simple man from a simple place. Have the oil and big energy industries, have they been suffering a lot? Have they had to cut back on the extra cheese orders on their Whoppers? Have they had to take the bus to work?
It's been a struggle, Greg.
It has been a struggle for the big oil people, isn't it?
Oh my goodness.
My gosh.
The profits are up. But it's bothersome, Greg.
I wanted to buy my 5th yacht, but I can't.
No, they're doing fine.
Yeah.
Oil and gas companies are doing just fine.
Yeah.
And it's my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe we are now producing more energy than ever before.
Which means they make what? Oh, that's right. Money.
Profits.
That's right. Profits.
And then I found this interesting article in The Lever. Since 2021, economists and pundits try to blame inflation on workers and rising wages. But there's a new report that looks at a different cause. Oil companies engaging in alleged price fixing with Saudi Arabia and other countries, which may have fueled 1/3 of all U.S. inflation in 2021.
We were talking about this yesterday. Where we were. Yeah. Inflation is mostly price gouging from private businesses.
Yes.
But we say inflation, so therefore people turn their heads to Washington and blame the government.
And say fix it.
Yeah.
Charles from Green Bay is on the line. Good morning, Charles. Thank you so much for joining us. What did you want to say?
Good morning and happy Mother's Day weekend to all the mothers out there. Not you, Greg. Anyways,
Ouch.
I heard an advertisement by Humvee, blasting Tammy Baldwin for voting 90% of the time with Joe Biden. Let's turn that around. Let's see what the Republicans did when President Trump was there for the Republican Party. Also, the fact of the matter is a couple other things is Humvee's bank under investigation by the federal, by feds, because there's some action. I've heard this somewhere. And the third thing is why is this man asking for billions of dollars from them? Because he's a billionaire. And the fact is, the oil companies made $80-some billion in the last quarter. What's going on here?
Well,
something's not right in Denmark.
I hear you, Charles. There's those CEO, the oil company CEOs are struggling, Charles.
Yeah,
they're struggling.
I'd like to answer question
I can't take the suffering anymore.
Jane, it's okay. Jane's feeling it right now, folks. If you're not, Jane is experiencing empathy with these big oil barons who really have had a tough few decades with just
awful
record-shattering prices, record-shattering profits, raising those prices to make sure that you and I can pay for their 16th yacht, because everyone knows you haven't made it until you've had a 16th yacht.
Well, the other guy has 17.
We'll get there, Jane.
I have to keep up. As far what Charles was referring to with Eric Hovde's bank, it is my understanding that there was a death at a nursing home that the bank is involved with in some way.
I believe it's an investment in the
investment in that home. So I'm not quite sure where the status of that is, but
hey, when the government's investigating any banks, I'm happy, because that doesn't happen often.
Well, the Federal Trade Commission, again, according to this article in the Lieber, uncovered text messages and documents suggesting the founder of a big oil company colluded with the Saudis and other oil-producing nations in order to keep energy prices high. Another lawsuit alleging multiple American oil companies engaged in a price-fixing scheme.
We got him, folks. That's it. That's the end of oil.
Naughty, naughty.
It's the end of oil. We did it. We beat them. Did it. They'll never recover from this.
Carmela texting in from Milwaukee. Jane and Greg, the real question is, have there been any takers of Trump's proposal to oil and gas companies? What's scary is we may not find out about a deal if one of them take Trump up on it until it's too late. Carmela, I think we can pretty much assume that they're starting to give him money now.
Oh yeah, they're going to they're going to support him. But I said this, I think I said it on Pat's show this morning on Up North Radio, is like, he can say all the things like, I'll make sure these things don't get done and I'll reverse these things. And I'm sure they're looking at him going, we don't really care. You're an idiot. You'll do whatever you want. We'll give you money anyways, and we'll still win. We'll still be rich at the end of the day, because I don't know if they know this, Jane. This is just simple math. Whether they make $2 billion or $1 billion, they still made $1 billion. And that's a lot of money. So,
Washington Post reporting Donald Trump told oil company executives, you are all wealthy enough that you should raise $1 billion to return me to the White House. He vowed to immediately reverse dozens of President Biden's environmental rules and stop any new ones from being enacted. Giving $1 billion to Trump would be a deal, he says, because of all the taxes and the regulations they won't have to deal with anymore. So, I guess they can make an investment in Trump.
This was how The Art of the Deal was made, that book. Like, he makes these deals. He makes good deals. This was beautiful. Just, hey, give me money. I'll make it work for you. The book could have been a pamphlet.
But I can see some supporters saying, yeah, he said it out loud. So what? They all do this. And certainly every politician is taking donations. That's true.
Yes.
I just don't know that it's ever quite so laid out in such a clear quid pro quo kind of way.
Hey, he's a quid kind of guy. Whether it's oil people or, Russian presidents or not Ukrainian presidents. I mean, that's the thing is, I am not shocked, and I can't be shocked anymore by the things he says in public, because he says whatever he wants. He says it with impunity. There are no consequences. And as much as I want him to go to prison for the rest of his life, He's not going to probably. He's going to get a huge fine. He'll have to pay it, whatever. But this guy gets to walk between the raindrops. And but on the other side of that terrible coin is us having to pick up the slack. Regular people. And some of those regular people support him for some reason. This amoral human being.
Yeah. And an important reminder to the Ute.
You just say Ute.
To all the Utes out there. Do not expect a second Trump administration to do anything about the environment.
No.
This should be pretty clear right now.
Or care about your student loan. Or care about access to purchasing a home.
Or lowering the price of insulin or prescription medications.
Or making it easier to like maybe get tax credits for EVs, cars. Like, environmental lobby, environmentalism, you're done. You're done.
Completely.
Get ready to put a for sale sign in the national parks, because I guarantee you we will lose at least one national park in another Trump presidency.
So they can start drilling.
Yes, he will sell it off, privatize it, and say, "Look what I did! I made a deal. I made America money."
Matthew Davis, VP of Federal Policy at the League of Conservation Voters and a former scientist with the EPA, says it's fairly norm for outside groups to write policy proposals to inform an incoming administration's policies, but an industry writing exact language for an incoming president to sign is, quote, beyond the pale.
That's what Alec does. Alec does it all the time. And most of these guys in Washington, and I'm sure they don't read them either. They're just like, this is what I came up with.
This is what they want me to sign. I'm going to sign
Once
it.
Again, nothing about this is new, but it's still infuriating on the whole, because you and me, Calvin, and the people listening right now, we're the ones stuck with the bill. We're the one who always gets screwed.
Got to go vote.
And how do they do that?
Get involved.
That's
got to go
right.
vote. myvote.wi.gov. It's a very, very useful website. Stay with us. Call or text if you want to join the conversation. 855-752-4842. This is Matenaer On Air on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Hello, I am a goose.
Welcome back. It's the Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, the Calvinator on the board, coming to you from our studio in downtown Waukesha. 855-752-4842 if you want to call or text 855-CIVIC. Leave a comment on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. We were just talking about Donald Trump speaking to a number of oil company executives at Mar-a-Lago and essentially telling them, donate $1 billion to me and I'm going to gut all the EPA regulations and you get everything that you want. Terry from Cross Plains listening in Madison. Thank you, Terry. The question is, if only one of these companies donates the billions, they all benefit. If Trump does away with the EPA rules, why do they all have to do it? That's a That's a very valid question, Terry. I would imagine for these guys, that's $1 billion is kind of pocket change, isn't it?
I mean, it's enough for what, maybe the 13th or 14th yacht, but
They could probably swing that though.
yeah,
Give them $5-6 billion. Even though, as our caller pointed out before, Charles from Green Bay, Donald Trump, he keeps talking about how much money he has. That's why he ran. He said originally he was going to run, and he didn't have to be beholden to anyone because he was so rich.
he's very rich, Jane. He's very rich.
But send him a donation now because he needs your help to defend himself in all these legal cases. Just as a side note.
Meanwhile, as another side note, Eric Hovde is like, I raised $9 million. He donated $8 million himself.
Ooh. Tom from LA is on the line. Good morning, Tom. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Jane. Good morning, Greg.
Hello.
Hey, I think this is a really important issue that everyone needs to understand. I know I didn't understand it until I started listening to talk radio. I got a little bit older, but people have got to understand the difference between public and private, because the Republicans' whole, their whole mantra is to privatize everything.
Yep.
And privatize means profitize. Privatize means it's owned by a private owner. Public means that it's for not profit. It means we, the people, ultimately, all our taxes actually pay for whatever it is, and we're not there to make a profit. We're there to do it in the public good. I don't know if you guys can say it better than what I'm saying it, but I really think that people do not understand the concept between government and public versus the private owner and private, because when you have a private owner, there is no recourse. They can do whatever they want. But if it's public, we have say in that. We can vote the people out. We can vote for a new person to come in. But in privatized stuff, we do not. So when we have privatized education, versus the charter schools and the private religious schools versus the public schools. Public schools are there for everyone. It is there through our tax dollars. A private school should not be used by tax dollars, even though it has been.
Yep.
But you have to understand the difference between public and private.
Thank you, Tom. Really appreciate it. Always appreciate you checking in and for listening.
Yeah, I can actually I will provide a cool example. It's from experience, but also just as to take it further. Yeah, the privatizing, once a service is privatized, it no longer matters the quality of that service. The bottom line is the only thing that matters. It only matters how much money that company and really the people up top who run it make. That's what they care about. So quality of service can wane as long as they're making money. They don't have to care. In Racine, when I worked there, they did a study about privatizing the trash pickup. If I'm not mistaken, trash pickup in Racine is still public. It's still public employees. They are unionized, all done through the city of Racine's DPW. They did a study on privatizing it, and they found that even though they would save money on trucks, repairs, employees, all of those things, they would still end up spending more money on the privatization of the garbage pickup with, and wait for it, no guarantee to the quality of the work being done by the group. So when people talk about privatization, I'm not saying every situation is the same, but in this situation, we found out that we were going to lose money in the long run, and we weren't going to be guaranteed quality of service. So therefore, privatization is not the 1-2 punch to all the problems of government. In fact, it's usually people screaming it with someone behind them saying, tell them to privatize the thing because we can do it and we'll make more money. Privatizing the prison system.
Yes.
There's another example.
Yes. All right. We are going to move along. Take a breath. Yeah, we've had a couple of those moments today. You and me both. I know. This will bring your temperature down a little bit, I think. This came up yesterday because we were talking about going for a walk in downtown Waukesha along the river, and then we were talking about all the ducks and the geese that that hang out there. And I talked about my fear of geese, and we talked about how territorial geese can be and things like that. And one of our folks on the live stream, I think it was Brendan, mentioned that there is a prison in Brazil that uses geese. And so I had to look it up, and he's absolutely right. According to the Animal Reader, Brazil prison uses geese. to guard prisoners. They're called geese agents. They don't have little badges or anything. A little hat would be kind of cute. They actually patrol a green space between the prison's inside fence and the main outer wall. Staff say the alertness of the geese makes them excellent guard animals, even better than dogs. So it's not necessarily that they are attacking prisoners who are trying to get out. It's just they make a lot of noise
Yeah.
when someone's there.
See, I just have one complaint to lodge.
Okay.
I feel like this whole story started with geese guard prisons. So now I have this picture in my head of geese running around the prison system with little uniforms, with little billy clubs, or if they're fancy, they're called William clubs.
Nice.
But they're policing and guarding. And then it not only is it not like everywhere or a lot of places, it's just in Brazil. Then it's one prison. Now it's a tiny space because they are scary and they make noise. I could take a goose.
We'll take you down to the river after the show.
I
We'll
will
take you down
show
to the
them what's
river after
up.
the show,
I will show those geese what's up.
and we'll put you head to head with one of those big geese down there. I think you would change your mind. It is, by the way, a really beautiful day to get out and go for a walk.
Oh my gosh, yeah. What is the
and go for a walk along the river, just wherever you are.
Yeah.
News is on the way. Also, an entertainment minute. Pete Schwab is so wonderful.
Yes,
He's
he
just
is.
great. That's coming up too. And then when we return, Mother's Day is on Sunday. So we would really love to know your favorite mom memories. It can be sad, it can be sweet, it can be funny, whatever you would like to share with us to honor your mom. Please have that ready to go. Think about it now. And we'll be back very shortly. Stay close. You're listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Just let me live my life and live it well. I wanna honk my beak and ring this bell so the children of tomorrow always know it has been lost by the people of this village. They can see the price it costs. They'll see their destiny is something they can choose, and they have learned this lesson from a goose. So let them live their lives and live them well. Just let them honk their beaks and ring their bells. They are the children of tomorrow, and they know it has been lost by you people of this village. They can see the price it costs, so let them live their lives and live them well. Just let them honk their beaks and ring their bells. They are the children of tomorrow, and they know it has been lost by you people of this village. They can see the price it costs. Don't try it, stop it. You'll be wasting all your time.
I wanna scream so loud for you, cause I'm so proud of you, and let me tell you what I'm about to do, mama.
Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, RYPC on the board, coming to you from our studio, resident young person, Kel. Coming to you from our studio in downtown Waukesha, 855-752-4842. Leave a comment on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Mother's Day is Sunday, at least here in southeastern Wisconsin. It is going to be a beautiful day.
It is going to be a beautiful day. Do you do anything to celebrate?
Unfortunately, since I am not a mom,
Yeah.
I have a couple of sisters who are moms, and my niece is a mom. I have several nieces now who are moms. But since we lost my mom, which is almost 17 years ago,
Okay.
we don't, and my mother-in-law. Unfortunately, my mother and my mother-in-law died within months of each other.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was a rough stretch.
Well, then we celebrate them in our hearts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what this is all about. We would love to hear your favorite mom memories.
Yeah.
So we can honor our moms, whether they're with us or no longer with us. 855-752-4842. 855-75-CIVIC. Can be sweet. Can be sad. Can be funny.
It can be about your grandma.
Absolutely.
It can be about anyone.
Stepmother.
A stepmom, an aunt who maybe you were very close with. I mean, that's the thing is like I'm lucky. I had a great aunt who was like a grandma to me. Her name was Adeline, and she was the queen lion, the lioness of the family. Where every year my family has been having family reunions here in Waukesha. I want to say for going on 80 years now.
Wow.
The third August third Sunday of August every year. We're usually at Horb Park here in Waukesha, and we gather. And my family is gigantic.
Oh,
it's huge. Like it's yes, and for the longest time, and it's still kind of that way. But like when I remember growing up, the men would sit down on the chairs, and you would kind of kiss the ring. My grandpa Buck and his brother, and they would sit there and they would talk and hold court. But as time went by and they passed away, my Aunt Adeline and her sister Rosie, my Aunt Rosie, they both became the ladies in the chairs. And
interesting.
And at one point it was sort of like, they don't come to you. You go to them. And don't upset them, because and not like a mean way, but they were just like, they didn't hold back, and they were honest with all their opinions. And it's wonderful. My Aunt Rosie is almost 100, and Adeline's no longer with us. But I feel very lucky to have those strong female figures in my life who are like, aunts and moms and things like that. My mom herself is just, I've been struggling
for a favorite mom story.
For a favorite mom story, and for me, it's just, I'm just lucky to have the mom I have, because her support. She didn't. I got married later, quote unquote, later in life in Wisconsin terms. I've never had children. I don't plan on having children. I've changed careers. I've changed paths. And while my mom is always worried about me, and she'll always say, I can always worry about you, I'm your mother.
Sure.
She's never said, don't do that. She's never said, you can't do that. She's never said, why are you doing that in a way that would make me question what I want to do?
Or you're going to fail.
Exactly. There's always been a support there. Maybe sometimes it's nervous support, as Fran Hong said, nauseous optimism. But she's always been there for me, and she's always supported me, and she's always been proud of me for the things I do, because I think she knows her baby boy will always land on his 2 feet.
Favorite mom stories. We are marking Mother's Day this coming Sunday. Share your stories with us at 855-752-4842. Sherry from Oregon. Good morning, Sherry. Thank you so much for joining us and for listening.
Hello, Sherry.
Hi. I have a sad story, but a grateful story. Last February, not this February, but last February, my dad passed away after 20 years of cancer.
Oh my!
And he oh man, he was just the most amazing man. Took care of my mom. She had a stroke and all that. So anyway, then it got too bad and they went into assisted living in Arizona. So the last time I got to see my mom was the memorial service that we had for my dad up there in the North Woods, a little cemetery up there. And I sat next to my mom, but my sisters wanted me to sit next to my mom to hold her and comfort her.
Yeah.
And so I did, and she was amazingly strong in front of all this crowd, and it was a big crowd. And then when the pastor went up, not pastor, they had a guy from the American Legion, and they had the honor guard and all that, you know. And when they started playing taps at the end, she held through. Well, I should say she held through up until Onward Christian Soldiers. Everybody sung, and Dad always wanted that played at his funeral, you know.
Yeah,
and
sure.
So I held her. I sat next to her, and the Lord gave us the most beautiful day, and He loved dragonflies. And so at the end, when they were playing taps, there was a dragonfly that went and sat on top of his urn, and then came over and sat on Mom's purse.
Oh,
and
wow.
Sat there.
Oh, thank you so much, Sherry. Really, thank you for sharing that story. And thank you so very much for listening. And I know Sherry watches on the live stream all the time. We really appreciate that. You can do the same if you want to jump on the live stream. Look for Matenaer On Air on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter, or call or text as we take your favorite mom stories at 855-752-4842 in honor of Mother's Day, which is this coming Sunday. Carmela from Milwaukee. I was caregiver to my biological mother, Mama Lee. She had a stroke, which caused aphasia. Because of the aphasia, she inappropriately swore a lot. I was always cautioning her to tone it down. We were on my way to my stepmother's, whom both Leah and I call Mom. While driving to Mom's, someone cut me off. We ended up at a stoplight next to the car. Mama Lee went ballistic on the car next to us, swearing and flailing her arms about. I could not get the windows and sunroof closed fast enough. She finally calmed down, then unloaded about the incident when we got to Mom's house. My mother's face was priceless. She was shocked at how prolific Leah was with swearing. She had heard me explain it, but this was the first time she actually heard it. Mama Leah passed away years ago, but my mom and I still giggle about the Mama Leah stories, especially that one. This Mother's Day, I have the honor of being in the presence of my stepmother, Marilyn, forever known as Mom to me. Enjoy your Sunday. Remember and celebrate in your hearts. Like Greg says, thank you so much, Carmela. You're absolutely right. Ellen from Cedarburg is joining us. Good morning, Ellen. Thank you so much. What did you want to say about your mom memory?
Hi, thanks for taking. Well, I have a great stepmom story. Unfortunately, our mother died very young, and there were 5 of us under the age of 9, me being the 9, and a baby just born. And my father, luckily, found this incredible woman who came and visited us with her horse and her dog. And eventually, Dad asked her to marry him. And she took us all to the courthouse one day and adopted all 5 of us. And she was the most beautifully kind, lovely person that we've ever known.
Ellen, that is.
So I was very lucky.
That is so beautiful. That really is. And because we hear so many bad stories about step parenting, which isn't necessarily fair all the time, that is just so lovely to hear that she came into your family and joined your family and became part of your family. How lovely.
Yeah, she was our angel.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ellen. Really, really appreciate it. Tom from Grafton talking about favorite mom stories for Mother's Day on Sunday. Hi, Tom. Thanks for joining us.
Hi. My mom passed away January of 21, and she was in a nursing home for about a year and a half, and a lot of it during COVID, so we couldn't really see her very much, and she really went down quite a bit in that time. But I remember the last 2 times, or one of the last couple times I'd seen her, it's like a spark had come back, and instead of not making sense, the second from last time I saw her, she said, I pray. And I thought to myself, my God, there's still somebody in there. And then the last time I saw her, she said, "Are you coming back?" And I'm never going to forget that, because a lot of what she would try to speak before you could not understand.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm so sorry for your loss, Tom, and I hope you have warm and loving memories of your mom to give you some comfort. Thank you so very much for calling in. You can join the conversation. We would love to hear your favorite mom story. 855-752-4842. Leave a comment on the live stream, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Listener in La Crosse on WLCX The Eagle. Years ago, I got called into work on Super Bowl Sunday. I was going to miss all those great commercials, so I asked my mom to record the game. She recorded the game, but she stopped the tape for every commercial so I could watch the game without all the interruptions.
That's
priceless. Love you, Mom.
That's awesome.
That is great.
I know you don't like them commercials.
Oh, that is so fun. Who wants to sit through that? I'll take care of that for you. It's okay. It's okay.
That person sounds like they're from Rhinelander.
Could be.
I don't know.
Kind of a Rhinelander accent.
Rhinelander-ish.
The one story I wanted to share about my mother, she was always struggling to get us to eat well.
Yeah.
You know, there were 6 of us and very busy place and a very busy household. And she was helping my father run the funeral home and everything else. But we were not big vegetable eaters.
Yeah.
And I can remember this with such clarity that we all liked mashed potatoes.
Mhm.
What kid doesn't like mashed potatoes,
Yeah.
right? So we come to dinner. We're all sitting around the table. The 8 of us are sitting around the table and we're doling out the mashed potatoes. And they have this odd aroma. And so I tasted them and it's like, Mom, there's little weird chunks in here. Just eat it. They're potatoes. It's good for you. It's fine. And my brothers and sisters, we're all looking at each other going like, there is something off here. This is, so she took cauliflower and whipped it up and told us it was mashed potatoes. Now, anyone who has eaten steamed cauliflower or cooked cauliflower, you know how distinctive that smell is.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, it's very, very specific.
It feels like your mom was ahead of her time because they do that now. That's a common recipe is whipped cauliflowers. Okay. All right. Well, all right.
At the time, we were all like, hey, nice try, Mom. You know, give a high five. It was kind of a fail. But
Calvin, I don't know about you, but it sounds like Jane has a lot of food rules. I don't know. Calvin, what about you? Do you have a shout out for the mom or someone as such?
I don't have a specific story or memory, but my mom is probably the most important person in my life. She's one of the strongest people I know. She's the rock of our entire family. So that's all I have to say.
Well done, Mrs. Calvinator. Mom Calvinator, I should say. We would love to hear your favorite mom memory, whatever it is. 855-752-4842. Leave a comment on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Stay with us. You're listening to Matenaer On Air on the Civic Media Radio Network.
For me to just call and say, Mama, I want to scream so loud for you, cause I'm so proud of you, and let me tell you what I'm about to do. You know I love you so, I never let you go. Wrote this song just so you know, no matter where you go, my love is true. Mama, mama, mama.
Welcome back to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Dr. Slide on the board. You can always join the show. Call or text at 855-752-4842. Leave a comment on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform Elon continues to ruin. Just a reminder, if you want to get news that is specifically for your area.
Yes.
So if you're in La Crosse or you're in Eau Claire or you're in Hayward or you're in Amory. You can go to your Civic Media station here in Waukesha. Go to WAUKradio.com. And at the top, there's a little news update. And if you want to stay informed and be plugged into what's happening in your community, these are all specially curated for where you are listening to Civic Media.
You know what else they can do if they go to WAUKradio.com?
What can they do there?
They can go to the Big Deals tab.
Oh, that's right.
The Big Deals tab. This, folks, when I say it's a big deal, I'm not being hyperbole here. This is a big deal. You can go on there and you can get yourself. But there was some like 50% off coupons.
There's some really good coupons.
Restaurants, stores here in the area. I mean, I think it was we had on the gentleman from the brew house, the Delafield Brew House.
Delafield Brew House.
And it was $28, gets you a $40 gift certificate. So you already you're making money while you're eating good food.
And you will have the best spear cheese soup in the world. I'm not getting compensated for this. I just really love this soup. And I was thinking about this last night. I was
thinking about the soup last night.
I was having soup dreams. No, I was thinking about the Delafield Brew House has now ruined pretzels for me forever. Because you tasted that pretzel.
Oh, well,
it was the
let's be fair. It wasn't a pretzel. It was a work of art.
It wasn't work of art.
It was a pretzel.
It was artichoke stuffed with artichokes and cheese.
Yeah.
It was.
And folks, if you possibly can, if you get this pretzel, take half of it home
and
enjoy it the next day, maybe with a bowl of soup, because it's just it's
so good.
Okay, now I want some. I blame myself. I brought up the Big Deals tab
yes,
on WAUKradio.com. But you can go there and you can find some great deals, because here's the thing is you're going to save money, you're going to get a value, and you're going to be supporting local, because these are local businesses.
These are local businesses, yep.
And they could always use more people through their doors. So yeah, go to WAUKradio.com, click on the Big Deals tab, and find out what's going on around the area. And that goes for, I think every radio station has their own version of Big Deals.
Big Deals,
yeah,
exactly. It depends upon where you are listening in the state. Still a couple minutes if you want to share your favorite mom memory in honor of Mother's Day coming up this Sunday at 855-752-4842.
Liz from Saukville, listening on WAUK, says, my mom is the epitome of unconditional love. She had 2 strokes in the last year, but is doing well and brings a lot of spirit, laughter, and to all at the assisted living center she lives at. I'm also very lucky to have known my mother-in-law, who passed away early February of this year at 91.
Wow.
I knew her for 30 plus years, and she was my second mom.
Aww.
Hug your moms every chance you get. Celebrate them every day. And actually, let me add to that. Thank you very much, Liz, for that, because that's important. I am very, very lucky. I have a wonderful mother-in-law as well. I have wonderful in-laws. I have wonderful extended family on my wife's side. I love them. They love me.
That's
we hang out. We have a
great.
great time. My mom and my mother-in-law are close friends.
Are they really?
They travel together. They go to lunch a lot. It is beautiful. They both lost their husbands, so they have a connective piece. Their kids are married to each other. There's a connective piece. So I am lucky to have a great mom and a great mother-in-law. Patty Becker.
That doesn't always happen.
No, it does not.
It really doesn't.
It does not.
And certainly, I'm sure people who are listening respect their mother-in-law. Maybe love is not perhaps the correct term.
They may have said a time or two, "Oh, great, they're coming over."
Yay!
Yeah, oh, cool.
Thanksgiving, wonderful.
You know what? I'm going to go in the garage and take care of that project you asked me to do 7 years ago.
I'm going to take the engine out of the car.
Yeah, exactly. So
If you want to share your favorite mom story with the moments that we have left, 855-752-4842. You can also email it if you would like. Go email it to janesays@civicmedia.us. janesays@civicmedia.us.
Yeah, we're lucky.
We are lucky.
It's good stuff. These are good stories. These were good stories. Thank you for sharing them, everybody. And it's, unfortunate when we lose them, but they stay in our heart, and we get these moments to celebrate them.
Well, and I think as Liz said too, let's not do this just once a day. We tend to do that with so many things.
Yeah.
We have Memorial Day coming up, which is certainly very important, but these are good reminders for us to be grateful every single day.
I'm also lucky that neither one of my moms expect, they're not like, oh, it's Mother's Day, so I would like a day to mani-pedi, brunch, the theater, and then take me for shopping.
What are you going to do for Mother's Day?
Hang out at someone's house. My mom doesn't like to go out on Mother's Day. She doesn't like to be part of the scrum. And we'll probably order in some food. We'll probably watch a movie or just spend time with each other. And
so mom's not going to have to cook, though.
Of course not.
Good for you.
If you met my mom, she'll be the first one to say, Jackie Bach, not the first one to cook.
I love her.
Yeah.
More and more every day. What are you going to do for Mom's Day, Calvin?
Probably my mom's very low key. She doesn't like much as far as attention on
Don't
her.
make a fuss.
Yeah.
Don't make a fuss. That's such a mom thing.
I'll probably make something for dinner, but that's probably about it. Yeah.
What are you going to make?
Well, I'll have to talk to my mom and see what she wants.
I did not know you were a cook.
I don't do it as much as I should.
Okay,
but,
so let me get this straight. Board Lord, Dr. Slide, the Calvinator, our resident young person, fashionista, Maxinista, and Top Chef.
Chef Cal B.
Yeah, Chef Cal B.
Well, we will be looking forward to Monday to find out what you whipped up for Mom. I'll be very, very curious.
Yes.
And then we're going to have an off the air discussion about the Wonder Oven and how you feel about that.
I am so hungry right now.
Let's go get soup. Coming up, news is on the way next. I hope you will join us next week. We have a bunch of great guests that are coming up. In fact, we're going to be talking to the former head of the American Medical Association about the importance of healthcare and the importance of whatever administration comes into office next and the ramifications on that. Many, many other things coming your way next week. Todd Alba following the news at noon, from noon to 2, and then Maggie Dawn from 2 to 4 p.m. Thank you, Greg and Calvin, and to all our engineers. Without you, nothing works. Thank you to everyone for calling and for texting, and most of all for listening. It means everything. I hope you find some joy this weekend and you have a chance to share it. Happy Mother's Day. Stay close. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.